Never just hold on to money. These were the first words of real value my grandfather ever spoke to me. I was young, and it confused me. The world around us constantly chanted, "Save, protect your future." But my grandfather, a man who had seen both empty hands and full harvests, simply smiled. "No," he said. "Saving is just waiting. You must plant your money. You must help it grow." He then told me the story that changed our family forever. In a quiet village, there was a man they called the Dreamer. He wasn't a bad man, just a still one. Every day, he would sit beneath a vast banyan tree, watching the clouds drift by. He would say to anyone who listened, "One day, I will build a shop. One day, I will have a herd. One day, I will be wealthy." But one day never arrived. He sculpted grand futures in the air, but never laid a single brick on the ground. At first, the villagers laughed. Eventually, they stopped laughing. They simply felt a quiet sadness for him. His wife, a woman made of quiet strength, carried the weight of their home. She mended clothes, tended the small garden, and stretched every rupee until it was thin. One evening, as she swept the dry dirt floor, she spoke gently. "My husband, dreams are beautiful, but they cannot fill a child's stomach. We need a harvest. We need action." The dreamer just nodded, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Someday," he whispered, "someday, a path will open." But the path did not open. Seasons changed. The garden yielded less. The savings, what little there was, vanished like morning dew. Then came the night that shattered the illusion. His young grandson, barefoot and thin, tugged at his sleeve. The boy's voice was small, almost a breath. "Grandfather, is there any bread?" His wife opened the wooden cupboard. It was bare. Not a crumb, not a grain of rice. The silence that followed was heavier than any stone. That night, the dreamer lay awake, staring at the cracks in the ceiling. His stomach was hollow. His heart was heavier. For the first time, his dreams felt not like comfort, but like a cage. With the first light of dawn, he did what he had never done. He walked to the fields and asked for work. The sun was relentless. The work was brutal. His back screamed, his hands blistered, but he worked. At the end of each day, he returned with a few coins, his body broken, but his spirit slowly waking. His wife would make a small meal, maybe lentils, maybe a single flatbread. The grandson would ask, "What did you get today, grandfather?" He would hold up the coins. "It is little," he would admit, "but it is something." Yet a new problem emerged. The money came in, and the money flowed out. For food, for a patch for the leaking roof, for medicine. They were running on a treadmill, exhausted, but going nowhere. Saving felt like trying to fill a well with a teaspoon while the bucket had a hole in it. One day at the market, he overheard a confident voice. "The secret to life is to save. A man with a full jar is a safe man." That night, inspired, he found an old clay jar and hid it beneath their cot. Every week he would drop a few coins inside. The sound was a small music, a promise of safety. His grandson discovered the jar one day. "What is this, grandfather?" The man smiled, feeling a sense of control for the first time in years. "This, my boy, is our tomorrow." But tomorrow was cruel. To fill the jar, they made painful sacrifices. He wore shoes with holes. They ate less. The plates grew emptier, even as the jar grew heavier. His wife's eyes held a question. What is the use of a full jar in an empty house? Months passed. The jar was finally full. He felt a surge of pride. He felt ready. He took the jar to the market and placed it on the counter of the grain merchant. "I want 3 sacks of rice," he said with confidence. The merchant counted the coins, then shook his head slowly. "Prices have risen, friend. This will buy you 1 sack, perhaps a few handfuls more." The world seemed to tilt. All those months of hunger, of sacrifice, of blistered hands, had bought only a fraction of what he had imagined. Money, he realized, with a sickening clarity, was not a stable thing. It could shrink, it could evaporate. Dejected, he sat by his home that evening. He watched his neighbor walk by carrying a basket of fresh eggs. Another neighbor followed with a pail of milk. They did not look rich, but they looked peaceful, unafraid. A tiny idea, no bigger than a seed, began to form in his mind. He looked at his grandson, who was drawing shapes in the dust. "What if," he said slowly, "we do not buy rice? What if we buy chickens?" This time, there was no someday. This time, he acted. He took the remaining money from the jar, the money that would have bought so little, and bought a few scrawny, thin chickens. The boy laughed with joy, chasing them around the yard. "Grandfather, you have started our own egg factory." The first few days, they found 1 egg, then 2. They ate 1. They sold 1. With that small profit, they bought a little more feed and then another chicken. The work was still hard, but now it was theirs. He started a small notebook. On one side, he wrote what they spent, on the other, what they earned. He counted every egg, every coin. Soon neighbors began coming to his door, coins in hand, asking for his eggs. The house began to change. The fear lifted. Hope, like the morning sun, began to fill the space. One morning, holding a single perfect egg in his calloused hand, he called his grandson to his side. "Do you see this?" he asked. The boy nodded. "This egg," the man said, "is more powerful than a jar full of coins. Money can finish. It can lose its worth. But money used the right way, it grows. It creates life. It creates more." The boy's eyes widened with understanding. He hugged the old man. "So you were never lazy, grandfather. You were just waiting for the right idea." The old man's eyes glistened. "No, my child. I was foolish. I learned that a dream without action is just a shadow. But a dream with a single step, that is a path." From that day on, he became known not as the dreamer, but as the wisest man in the village. And his message was simple. Saving money is like trying to hold water in your hands. No matter how tightly you grip, it will slowly leak away. But if you use your resources to build something, even something small, you create a stream, and a stream can become a river. His greatest lesson is now mine to share with you. Never just hold on to your money. Plant it, nurture it, let it grow. A small, smart start today can change the landscape of your tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. Please do me a kindness and subscribe to my channel Silence Ascent and press the notification bell so that you keep receiving videos like this on time in the future.